It's Lane Kiffin versus Nick Saban. It's not even Alabama versus Ole Miss, Laura. It's one of those games that everybody's waiting to see if Lane Kiffin wins this football game. What will it do for Lane in his career?
Well, I got to tell you, Key, Nick Saban's skin is crawling right now as you're even saying that because he would call you rat poison right now for saying that. But yeah, I mean, listen, this is a fascinating matchup, and you're right. If for some reason this Ole Miss team, which by the way is very possible, can pull out a win in Tuscaloosa, it would change the entire trajectory of their program. Now, listen, there's a lot that has to go their way, and things are going to happen that are unexpected. But the reality is this Ole Miss offense is the top offense in the country. They're averaging over 600 yards of offense every single game, and their point average is like over 50. It was funny because we interviewed Lane Kiffin actually after week 1 when they beat Louisville, and he wasn't even there because of the COVID situation. And he said, "Oh yeah, if we're around 400 yards of offense, we consider that a really bad day." That's just the day and age that we're living in college football when it comes to the offenses in the game, but also as it relates to Ole Miss and their quarterback in Matt Corral, who is for sure the Heisman favorite right now, even though Bryce Young's probably right there neck and neck with him, but also potentially the number 1 quarterback taken off the board in next year's NFL draft.
Laura, what are you hearing in terms of, like, if you go back, I don't know, several years ago when Hugh Freeze was the head coach at Ole Miss, they would give Alabama a run for their money on the offensive side of the ball, putting up points. Lane did it again last year. What are you hearing about the way they can defend or how they would defend Lane's offense so those sort of things won't happen?
Yeah, it's interesting because Lane Kiffin even said this week that every defense they've played changes their defense to try and defend this Ole Miss offense. And so they're already expecting that. So, the way that Alabama will approach it is probably like that. They're going to be specifically based on matchups. They're going to work for them to try and defend this offense. But I also think that if you play Ole Miss, you accept that they're going to score points, right? So it's a tough day for the defense. Defense can get worn down, but you're almost more reliant on your own offense, which Alabama, in this case, can score, right? And so I think at the end of the day, it comes back to that. Brian Robinson, Alabama's running back, who was out last week with a rib injury, is expected to play again. I think that's huge because at the end of the day, this Ole Miss defense has shown improvement, but they're not at the level where they can, sit there and stop an Alabama offense that's functioning at a very high level as well. But, Kiffin said this too. I think if Ole Miss is able to win this thing, especially on the road, the crazy things are going to happen, right? The things that you are not expecting are going to happen. And they know that. I wouldn't be shocked if they've got some trick plays dialed up, if they've got some things that, Kiffin knows Saban well and vice versa, right? They've got some things that they think they can sort of do to put this team off balance. But that's why it makes it such an interesting game, because on the other side, that Saban's doing the same thing, right? This is it's another fascinating one in the Saban versus his former assistants, but this one's got a little extra to it just because of the history between these two coaches.
Laura Rutledge joining us, host of NFL Live and SEC Nation on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Laura, just in his second year, he's gotten Ole Miss to be ranked 12th in the nation. How has he changed around the culture of this program so quickly?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think a lot of people look at Lane Kiffin and remember him being fired on the tarmac. Sorry for that, Key, but I had to put that in there. They remember some of the hijinks at Tennessee, and I do think that Kiffin, while he is sort of this new age coach and the way that he approaches his Twitter feed and the way that he puts things out there that maybe other coaches wouldn't, he's not maybe as stiff as some other coaches, but he has in a lot of ways grown and matured and improved as a head coach. And he would even say, looking back, that he wasn't ready for those head coaching roles in the way that he wanted to be ready at the times that he got them. So I do think that, the way he's changed the culture in Oxford, the way that he's changed the perception of Ole Miss nationally, especially after what happened with Hugh Freeze and where they were for a while there, to rebuild it as quickly as he has. That's why this is a game, and I hate to be this, oh, hey, there's some sort of victory in losing, because there's not, right? They want to get the win. But I do think if they play Alabama really close, that's even going to go a long way in recruiting and in the overall conversation around this team. But that what he's built there and what he continues to build, especially with Matt Corral in the headlines as much as he is, they're going to continue to recruit well, and this is going to be a destination spot for college football players.
Laura, real quick, because we got to get out of here, but I want to ask you this. If Lane Kiffin somehow could pull off this victory against Nick Saban and Alabama, or even, like you said, pins and needle close, does he become the hottest coaching candidate again in his career that could potentially be on the market for one of those openings in Power 5 or the NFL?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think he might already be there in a lot of ways, because here's why, Key, the offense. And we know that this game at the college and NFL level right now is so based around offense. I think that's attractive no matter where you are.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.